I'm a painter and I'm self-taught, originally Australian, but I'm now living and working in Kent.
My name is Maureen Grayson. I'm a London-based artist.
My name's Steve, also known as Sapient, and I'm based at Yorkshire Art Space in Sheffield, where I make sculptures.
I'm Sharon. I am a queer black artist based in Dorset. I'm a painter predominantly, but I'm actually trained as a printmaker.
I am a London-based artist, and drawing is something that I've always used as a practice, whether it be a pencil, charcoal, pastel, or the painterly brush.
I am Richa Vora. I'm from India originally, and now living in London. I paint and I draw.
My name's Stanley. I'm a British-Nigerian contemporary painter, working mainly in the medium of oil paint.
My name's Stig. I'm a painter, public artist, and painted conservator.
I'm an emerging Anglo-Danish artist working out of Copenhagen, and I paint expressionist seascapes, landscapes, and cityscapes.
Mixed media figurative sculptor. I also make puppets and I draw.
Historically, I'm an advertising photographer, and that has evolved through my working practice into becoming more of an installation artist.
Being self-taught and very new to this whole world, I think I just made it harder for myself getting in my head. When I started having commissions and thought, this isn't just a hobby, this is something more. And I still felt a little bit out of my depth as a newbie, and that's why I came to you guys.
I didn't know anything at all about the art world. It really overwhelmed me. And how could I even begin to understand it? How did I know the right things to do, the right way to present myself? I realized I just had no clue. And then suddenly I hear about Art Ladder and I thought, oh my God, this is the gateway to understanding and finding out about the art world and all the things I don't know. So how could I not do that? And honestly, it was the best decision I could have possibly made.
The reason I joined the Art Ladder is I want to kind of understand the art world better. I'm from a working class background, so I don't really know many collectors, curators, dealers, and all that kind of side of things. This year's the first year I've been full-time working for myself, so that was one of the other reasons why I wanted to join the Art Ladder, just to try and fine-tune and see any blind spots.
I don't get up to London much. I don't get to see shows much. I felt slightly out of the picture and don't particularly like networking. I just felt it might help engage me and maybe just give me a bit of a kick up the bum and push me along a bit. And it has done. It's been very helpful.
I was always looking for different supporting mechanisms or structures. And then it felt the Parker Harris program was like the next step in entering the big boys and girls world in terms of the kinds of spaces and places I want to be in or to show my work in. And so I registered with it. Yeah, it just felt like a natural next step, really.
Instagram and social media were a complete mystery to me. I was all over the place with it. I had no idea what I should be doing. I barely understood the technology. And then the other questions was about galleries. Do I approach galleries? Do I wait for them to approach me? How do I become the most appealing person, an artist I can be to in a gallery, to be ready to start exhibiting?
Came to London and I was like, oh, galleries. So many, but how do you get there? How do you break that? How do you even know the names? And I think Art Ladder is making that accessible to at least, oh, yes, I have heard this person's workshop and I know that person.
I felt that I needed to be a bit more professional. I felt there was a lot of stuff I didn't know. This just seemed like a really good opportunity to have some stuff demystified, really practical things to put in place. And I would say that has been a definite yes.
I've been thinking about raising my professional game because I think I'm okay at painting, but the other side of things needs a bit of work.
I'd recommend anybody join, particularly women who have had a career before and discovered this new passion. We need that confidence. You want to feel professional as well, and just having some of those very clear guidelines on how to navigate it well. I would recommend it for anyone who's transitioning from hobby to emerging.
It is daunting what's going on and why haven't I got that and why have they got that? Why haven't they called me? It's opened my eyes and opened the doors to what is possible. Instead of thinking of the art world as a sort of hard little squash ball that I don't know the way in, it's more like a honeycomb where I can sort of, oh yeah, I can just get in there and then I can get in there. I'm beginning to find myself more comfortable in certain areas than others. And I didn't know about like the open competitions. I didn't know about those areas. I just didn't know about them.
I wouldn't have imagined anybody would have bought one of my paintings. Before Art Ladder, I was convinced that I couldn't sell my paintings. I once believed that there was no market for my work. There were no people for me, but not anymore. I can do anything if I set my mind to it.
I thought to myself, okay, what I'll do is I'll just sign up for 3 months and see how it goes. And then 3 months went by. I was like, this is really beneficial. I'll do it till 6 months. Did another 6 months. I was like, this is actually really valuable. And I just kept going all the way. And I've already made a decision that, yeah, I'm going to keep it going because it's really helpful.
There were so many things that Art Ladder had helped me with. It was hard to know even where to begin. The first one was about calming me down and settling me with that sense of overwhelm, which really hits emerging artists when they're confronted with the art world and they realise that they don't know anything about it. And it did that by making me see that the things I needed to do could be broken down into manageable chunks and done step by step.
Learning about how to become more visible, better use of social media. Honestly, there's been so many nuggets of gold. It's difficult to be really specific, but I think just about being more professional.
For me, it helps with a few things. There's a momentum that it continues to have. You need things around you that surround you that continue this momentum, particularly when things are on the dips, and they seem to happen more than the ups. It's a resource that you have now. And when I want to refer back to them, maybe you're feeling a little bit directionless, it's definitely a resource that I can turn back to because there's always something that you can do. It's great what you do when you're in the sessions and you answer questions live. I think that's quite useful to feel like people are there and they're being listened to and their concerns are being heard. It encourages you, it gives you confidence to invite people into the studio or just making contacts.
Here I am talking to you a year on with a few exhibitions under my belt. None of that could have been conceived. It's like I've jumped off into this little tiny rowing boat in a stormy sea with no oars and no sail, and along come Parker Harris with the oars and the sail and the tiller and the rudder and everything, and you're getting me going again. And that's how I look back on the last year. You put on your website about navigating the art world. That's exactly what it is. And you're helping me navigate this little tiny dinghy.
It's all these little things that build. And if I could put an analogy, if you were to paint a picture, it's each brushstroke adds to the image and becomes more clear over time.
I found it so useful. It's very down to earth, very accessible. Like I said, it's demystifying a lot of it. I think it's a bit like panning for gold, but not having to do the work. We're not having to do the work. You're presenting basically a sieve with a lot of gold nuggets in it.
Every session has got different things. I feel like I'm a magpie when I'm doing any of the sessions. Some of it I know, some of it I don't know, and I kind of cherry pick and go, oh, that's a good one.
I think just learning more about how the art world operates, if I'm honest. How do collectors think? How do dealers think? How does it all work? And just being more organised. It's been a really big learning curve in terms of where they're going to show up. I would say I'm already doing things quite well, but it's nice to fine-tune those things.
During the course of the ladder, you've put us in front of collectors, curators, gallery owners, and the frankness and the honesty with which they give their take on the art world has been extremely beneficial. You cover a lot of ground, and I would say almost a 360 view of what it is to be an artist. You certainly have a view and experience of the art world which artists starting out or emerging artists or late developers probably do not.
I decided to start the mentoring process with a one-to-one session. And that was incredible because I was basically told to stop hiding and take myself more seriously, which I did. But also off the back of that, I got a really big commission with an insurance company. And yeah, I was like, how much? What am I doing here? It's a dream portrait. I'm not being expected to do anything to fit anyone else's style. They've come to me because they love what I do, and that means I'm really excited about what I'm creating for them that is going to be displayed in their beautiful offices.
I should have probably joined early because I'd seen it pop up quite a few times on the newsletters. I wish I'd have probably joined before that, if I'm honest, because I've seen some of the tips on your videos and I might have been a bit more organised.
I decided for the first time to do open studios, and I'd never done one before, but it was on my list. And because of the advice I got from Art Ladder, I was aware of the things I needed to do, and I blocked out enough time to do all of those things. And as a result, I sold 50 pieces of work. So it ended up being hugely successful for me, way beyond my wildest dreams. But I would have been a mess without the advice from Art Ladder. I wouldn't have done half of the things that I did do as a result. And that's what made it work.
Towards the latter part of this year, I put on my debut solo show, which was a great experience. It was fantastic. I sold a few more pieces, and then just after that, I managed to secure some gallery representation with the gallery, and so far it's been a great partnership. So it's been a phenomenal year. I just never would have expected it.
It's been a good year. I've been offered 3 solo exhibitions this year. What's been good about this year, if I had to concentrate it, is this year I feel I've been seen. That's been a huge step forward for me, because I felt like I'm just working away and not being seen. And this year I felt seen for sure. I've had work published in a book and some magazines, but I have put myself out there more too. It's so satisfying that people are starting to understand. I think it's every artist's dream is to have people understand what you're doing while you're doing it as well.
This year on Instagram, I'm not very good at Instagram. I'm not technologically minded, but I've learned so much from Art Ladder of what to do that I'm starting to make the right kind of posts. But the great thing is, in the last year since I've done Art Ladder, I've got 1,000 followers. Now, that's not much by lots of standards. It can be really slow, but it does happen and it does develop. And that's what's really helpful as well. It's very lonely out there sometimes. I think particularly if you're a self-taught artist and you don't have that art school network, it's quite a lonely path, and Art Ladder is fantastic to help with that.
This year I've been in some amazing exhibitions. I created 4 portraits based on interviews with Windrush children. They were exhibited in the Black Cultural Archives in Brixton, and they actually made them giant scale and had them in the courtyard, and it was open to the general public for the whole month. So that was incredible. I've sold a whole load of originals recently at a time that some of these originals have been sitting around for a while, but just stepping out with a bit more confidence has made a huge difference.
The biggest thing is obviously the making of the work and getting it out there somehow and connecting with people, because without that kind of exposure, you don't have the opportunities for your work to be seen, whatever platform it is. Through those opportunities, and they are opportunities, small or big, you meet people and you make contact with people. That adds a kind of building block. So it's a perseverance game and it's a patience game.
I'll be honest, I think it really will appeal to a range of artists. Mainly if you are trying to become more professional in your practice, it's going to be hugely beneficial. There's just so many resources available to you to help you with that. Particularly if you can do the level 3 with the mentoring sessions, that is gold, honestly. What you'll get in those sessions is incredible.
I would recommend Art Ladder for almost everybody. You listen to that and you get that energy back and start working. And every time you come across it, you learn something good and your business plan changes a little bit and you can work towards more progress. So I would recommend it to any sort of artist, because you need to have a discipline when you're working.
Sometimes when you're feeling overwhelmed with all the things you think you should be doing and so on, you panic a bit. And the great thing is that it's about taking a step-by-step process. Often it's just about doing the next good thing. So that could just be a post that day, or taking your work to get photographed, or doing some work in the studio, or maybe entering an open call. It doesn't have to be lots and lots of things, powerhousing, making giant leaps. Sometimes it's just the next good thing, lots of little steps, but they're all adding up and they're all taking you in the direction that you want to go in. It isn't a race, and I find that a huge relief.
I work hard. I am the full-time carer of 3 children. Anything's possible if you work at it. And I think one of the things that doing the Art Ladder, a takeaway, if you like, is that you don't have to do everything all at once. And that's the thing that's daunting. I must have a website. I must have a mailing list. I must have It's small steps. And that's why it's a ladder, right? It's small steps. These bite-sized chunks that you can cherry pick from is so perfect. It's a lot of work. But if you just say little and often, it's much more doable.
It doesn't happen overnight. It does take time, but I feel that with your guidance, there's more clarity on reaching the milestones, these webinars, the possibility to get in touch with fellow artists, understanding we're not alone. There are other people in a similar stage of their profession, their practice. It gives a foundation and it gives some momentum to developing one's practice or one's wish for how to evolve as an artist.
I'm not in the first burst of youth. Of course, we all worry, is it going to be too late? But it's never too late. It's never too late because there are always opportunities out there you might not realise. And I suppose you are as old as you feel. If you feel like a budding, emerging, young artist, go for it. Go for it.
I think taking risks is important. And just because you can't do something doesn't mean you shouldn't try. I think you've just got to go with your heart to a certain extent.